Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking the video and subscribing to the channel are free and easy for you, and they help me out a lot. If you want to go further with your support, Patreon and YouTube membership offer access to the BoshNRoll Discord community, early access to lists, written content, things like that. You can have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use YouTube membership, you also get sweet badges and emotes integrated here into YouTube. You can support the channel while you shop at tcgplayer.com by using my affiliate link in the video description, and you can play any deck anytime by using a cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. If you want to wear your support, check out the merch store. And of course, thanks for being here. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome to another BoshNRoll Legacy video. This video today is going to be special because it's going to be the first in two different video series on the channel. The first series, Patreon subscriber Brendan wanted to see an exploration of control archetypes across multiple videos. I play a lot of 4-color Bant with the black splash on this channel. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to do 4-color Bant with the red splash. What Brendan wants to see is a really try-hard, dialed-in 4-color league, a Jeskai Hullbreacher league, and a Jeskai not Hullbreacher league, and just compare and contrast those 3 control archetypes across multiple videos. I also have another $500 trophy challenge from Patreon and general channel supporter Spunky, who has given me 3 leagues to get a trophy with the 4-color red splash version, and if I convert, I get $500. Those interests converge in this video. This is the first of Brendan's exploration of control. It's also the first of Spunky's iterating on red Bant. Either one of these, Brendan's definitely getting 3 videos out of that. Spunky might get 3, or I might trophy the first one and we're done with that. We're going to find out together. But let's talk about this list. This is, of course, the Bant shell, and by Bant shell, I mean Uro, Brainstorm, Swords of Plowshares, Force of Will, and Prismatic Ending. These are the cards that I consider the core to Bant Control, and Endurance, I guess, is probably in every deck that has these cards too. Obviously, this is not a 3-color deck, which, strictly speaking, that's what Bant means, but in the Legacy parlance, a Bant deck is this grouping of core cards. On the fringes, we can splash as many colors as we like, up to 4 colors. I've even seen 5 colors. Could be black, could be red, could be all of them. Today we're just playing red. The reason to be a red deck in Legacy, the main reason to be add red to your blue control deck, is Pyroblast out of the sideboard. And we got 4 of those over here. You'll notice this is an 18-card sideboard. We'll talk about that in a minute. I got some conversation to have about the sideboard construction, but 4 red blasts. Meltdown is a huge reason to be red as well. The 8-cast Urza Saga decks are really good, and they just got Kappa Cannoneer, which is even better. That card's going to be hard to kill with a Meltdown. It's a 6-drop, but this card is very important to the deck to beat those sort of plans. And a payoff if you're red anyway is Expressive Iteration. This is a card you can't go too deep on. There's only 1 in this main deck. I would probably want 2, but I'm going to try it as 1 for now, because the things I would have to cut would... Basically, you could cut Sylvan Libraries and just beyond Expressive Iterations, you could play 3 of these instead of any of these. Or you could shave a Teferi, or shave a land to get a 2nd iteration to complement your 2 Sylvan Libraries. I think everything else is a little too important. 3 is kind of a lot of endurance. 1 of those could be an Expressive Iteration. Just some thoughts there, but I'm going to leave Spunky's main deck as it is for today. Those are the reasons to be red. We get Expressive Iteration and Red Blast and Meltdown. To facilitate that splash, there is a single Volcanic Island and a single Taiga. And I suppose if your Red Blasts are in, it is likely that your Carpet of Flowers are in as well. So you can get red off of that. Because most decks that are going to have blue spells are also going to have islands to cast them. There's some matchups like 8-cast, aforementioned 8-cast, that I probably wouldn't bring in Carpet, but would have Pyroblast in. But most of the time, you're going to get red off your Carpet if you want it. The card advantage engine of this deck is primarily Sylvan Library. This is a card that I don't really like in Legacy right now. I just think Prismatic Ending, punishes it too hard. It's a bad top deck in any sort of mid-game situation. The Jeskai decks are just maxed out on Hull Breacher and Narset effects these days. Just there's a lot of liability to Sylvan Library. But the 4-color red versions of Bant, a lot of smart people who I trust, including Spunky, including Anzi, like a lot of people, Ozymandias. I see a lot of lists from names that I trust who are on Sylvan Library in this sort of shell, and I'm going to roll with it. There are 6 forces in this main deck, which makes sense if your plan is to tap out for Sylvan Library on turn 2 and then untap with it on turn 3. Having 6 forces really helps you punch this through and keep it there if your plan is to just run away with it, and then Uro will recoup the life you lose from Sylvan Library. There is a package here. There is a coherent plan in place here. I've been more about that Witherbloom command and Life from the Loam life lately, but I'm going to try Sylvan Library today. Spunky has 2 Teferis. I think the second Teferi is a pretty firm flex slot, but he gave me a little blurb when he sent me the list, and he said Teferi is just too good not to play more of, and I would agree with that. The Jeskai decks with their own Teferis, flashing in Hull Breachers, just all that tricky stuff that they're up to, putting a big shield up against that is really nice. The full 4 Prismatic Ending, complementing the full 4 Swords to Plowshares. There's a lot of removal in this deck. And then 3 Endurance, which is 1 more than I think you need in a main deck, but I wouldn't want to replace any of the sideboard cards. So this makes sense to me, though I would consider 1 Endurance and 1 Teferi to be, and 1 Prismatic Ending to all be flex slots. It's also the sparkly new Boseiju Who Endures here in the mana base / spell base. I'm going to play this deck like it's a 22 land deck, and Boseiju is a spell that I have, rather than think of it like a 23 land deck. I think you'll be happier with Boseiju as a spell than a land most of the time. And the deck doesn't have any way to pick it up. Like, there's no... I guess you could Wasteland it and then loam back the Wasteland and the Boseiju, and then you have Boseiju in your hand after playing it. But that's... hopefully it doesn't come to that. There's no Field of the Dead in this deck. I was into the Red Splash for a while a few months ago. I was playing it in a loam Field of the Dead type shell, where Field of the Dead just eventually wins the game. You don't really have to stick an Uro. You don't have to stick a Jace. You don't have to attack with Endurance. It's just make my land drops. Eventually I will win. Spunky is off of that right now, and I get it. It's a colorless land that comes into play tapped in a deck that's very hungry for mana, and adding Boseiju to the deck, it adds another land name, but it does also kind of occupy that land that's also a spell slot that Field of the Dead would have been in. I get it. And that's the main deck. The sideboard, is it static casters necessary for killing creatures? You don't get Plague Engineer in this color spread, and this is the replacement. Carpet of Flowers, which appears to be the entire plan against Blood Moon or Back to Basics. Well, Back to Basics you could Pyroblast, but Blood Moon is light if you don't have something set up already. And you could float green and use Boseiju in response to Blood Moon. That's a good plan, but you have to leave up 2 mana and one of it has to be green. If Blood Moon resolves on a stable board, the game is over. There is no way to remove it. But Carpet can work through it if you play the Carpet proactively, and then they have islands to go with their Blood Moon. Hull Breacher is a card that I like Narset better, but because I like the card advantage you get out of a Narset. Like, I like bringing in Narset against decks like Death and Taxes, where just having more cards is relevant, than specifically the can't draw cards clause. But Spunky is using this more of a tool to jam against combo and control mirrors. It's really good with the 2 Teferis. Like, a Hull Breacher that they can't answer or can't respond to right away can be game breaking on its own, where Narset is never going to get that cheese factor. You're going to be a lot happier thinking about this as a combo hate piece than a Narset type effect in control mirrors. Though opponents are going to board out their plows in control mirrors too, or at least some number of them, and try to rely on Prismatic Ending or other things. But yeah, Hull Breacher, I like Narset better, but Spunky has done a lot of work on this deck and says Hull Breacher's better. I'm going to believe him. I love a Flusterstorm. And the last thing that I want to talk about, and the reason that I have these 3 extra cards over here in the sideboard, let me get these on screen for you. There's a Force of Negation in the sideboard. There's already 6 forces in the main. This is pretty clearly just sort of a generic, let's shore up the combo matchup slot. And 3 endurance, 6 forces. There's 9 free spells. You have 2 surgicals already. Like, are you bringing in Force of Negation in fair blue mirrors as like an extra way to fight over planeswalkers? Because you have 4 red blasts that are doing that already. I just think we can get more out of this slot. This is the only change to the 75 I'm going to make before I play it for the first run. And these are the 3 cards I'm looking at. Containment Priest. Spunky identified Elves as a difficult matchup. Containment Priest is excellent against Elves. It's a little worse since Grist was printed, but it does slow them down a lot if they have to get Grist instead of Craterhoof Behemoth. Priest also dominates the mid game against Reanimator or Oops All spells, and your 11 free spells should get you to the point where you can cast a Containment Priest against those decks. She doesn't help on turn 0 the way Force does, but she helps a lot more on turn 2 and beyond. I like Priest for those reasons. Even has some text against Death and Taxes, where you get to catch a Flicker Wisp or an Aether Vial or a Yorion trigger. Like there's a lot of places Containment Priest has slightly relevant text. Force of Vigor also comes in against Death and Taxes. Also is an out to a Resolved Blood Moon or Choke or Back to Basics, which the deck otherwise is lacking, as I mentioned. It helps against the 8-cast matchup. Any Saga deck, you're going to be happy. Lands, taking out their explorations is a big deal. I like a lot of what's going on with Force of Vigor. And Terminus does not occupy the same role. Like, this is clearly Force of Negation is for combo, and I just put it in 2 things that help for some combo and some fair matchups. Terminus is only for the ultra fair matchups, but Elves was named specifically as a tough matchup. Sweeping up Death and Taxes board. There's not a lot of sweepers being played in Legacy right now, and Terminus could really catch someone who's not ready for it. Just not having to 1-for-1 Delver, just being able to sweep up the DRC and the Murktide instead of having to pick your poison. I like Terminus right now, but we only get 1 of these. And for today, I'm going to try Containment Priest. I like Force of Vigor a lot. I hope we don't lose to Blood Moon in this league, but I'm going to try Containment Priest because it has that just peripheral value against other decks while being one of the more powerful cards against specifically what we know is a bad matchup in Elves. This was a very long deck tech, and that's okay. There's a lot to talk about. Brendan did sponsor this league to get this real rundown of control archetypes in Legacy, and that's what I'm giving you. Spunky gave me this list and wants me to win with it, and I'm going to try my best to do that. And if you're serious about winning a tournament with a control deck, you really do need to go card by card and figure out, make sure each one is pulling its weight, because every card has to matter. You don't have dead space. I mean, Brainstorm helps clean up dead space in Legacy, but you can't just have some card that's not going to pull its weight in the list. Every card's got to hit. No virtual card advantage for the opponent. Make them answer all of your things, or push through all of your many answers. I'm going to cut off this deck tech before it ends up 20 minutes long. I think we have addressed every single card in the deck specifically, and the reasoning that it's there. Let's jump into this league. I'm on the draw in round 1, and this is one of those hands that's like, if this is some fair matchup, this hand's actually like fine to decent, but if they are Delver or combo or anything that's going to pressure me in any meaningful way, this hand sucks ass. I'm going to mulligan it. This hand I really wish had a green source. I am going to keep it though. This has a pretty high land count in the deck, and there's kind of this awkward tension of this hand where Swords of Plowshares might be the best card in the hand, but Teferi is the only card that pitches to Force. Loam's the only card that pitches to Endurance. I'm going to need this Loam to get my game online. I think I have to send the Plow and just hope this isn't a Plow matchup. Oh yeah, Windswept Teeth. You love to see it after sending Plow to the bottom. Ooh. Well, this is a choice. A deck that plays Abundant Growth. This is either Enchantress or some 4-color deck that's going to need this thing, but they don't have a Yorion. Alright, I'm going to let them have this. I might regret it. If they had a Yorion, I might have forced that. Green source. Another white source. I also got to talk less. I just spent a full minute talking about my mulligan and turn 1. Time is going to matter with this deck. Oh, there's this jerk. I was right. It's Enchantress. I cannot counter this card with what I have. Interesting. Prismatic Ending. I'm going to hit the Abundant Growth and hope that they get stuck on white mana. Most of their win conditions are white. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. All right. Yeah. You have to fight the Enchantress, not the payoffs. And my opponent has resolved the Enchantress. I have the wrong force in my hand. The Hull Breacher's coming in out of the sideboard are a huge deal. Like, you really have to collapse what they're doing on thin ice. Okay. They're just playing that for the cantrips, which there are a lot of. They get 2 draws off of that, and they still have a land drop coming. Utopia Sprawl. We're just gonna probably lose this game, but I am gonna push and see where I can find some game, if I even can. Is it Taiga or Savannah? It has to be a green source. Do I care about red? I guess Expressive Iteration is in this deck. Yeah, I'll go for Taiga. I have a bunch of white already. I'm gonna bounce Sithis. I can very safely concede this game, just saying. I want to see what their win cons are. I want to, like, that's where I'm trying to figure out, get a little more information here. I'm just going to F6 and let them do what they want to do. This is, yeah, I don't have a blue card for my force anyway. F6, go nuts. Oh, Omen of the Sea. Goodness, that's a cool one. Oh, they named blue with both of these sprawls. They're Bant Enchantress. Really wish I had gone with Force of Vigor in the sideboard instead of Containment Priest in this particular matchup. There's Destiny Spinner. That ends the game real fast. Ares Guile, okay. If I draw an answer to Destiny Spinner, I might let this game go a little longer. But I am very close to just dead on board. I might actually be dead on board if this Spinner untaps once. You're going to have to discard 8 cards. Got him. Oh, free Mind Twist for 8 in your end step. Haunt the Nice, bunch of lands, Utopia Sprawl, Abundant Growth. Okay, I'm going to concede. I'm dead on board to the Destiny Spinner. I could Wasteland Sarah Sanctum and hope that they don't have mana to spin Destiny, but all of this is fake at this point. Hull Breacher, huge deal. They did name blue with their Pyroblast, or with the, like, we saw blue cards, but I don't think that's the place I want to go. Dress Down is good. That turns off the Shroud on the Enchantresses. That's really helpful. I really don't have a lot going on here. Staticaster seems like a terrible idea. It's basically just my removal, I think. Or the Hull Breachers, and then keep Enchantress effects off the table until I can land a Hull Breacher, and then they can have them. What do I cut here? Force of Negation did rot in our hand. Sithis and Argothian Enchantress are both not spells I can counter with Force of Negation. Sometimes Enchantress decks are Zenith decks, but I haven't seen that yet and don't need to commit to it, really. Normally I would shave on Plows, but we saw Sithis, and Dress Down does get through the Enchantress to get a Plow to resolve. Alright, I'm gonna do this. This is a wonky and challenging matchup to play in round 1 of our trophy challenge. Okay, I can keep this. This can answer an Enchantress. It can Plow Sithis straight up, or Dress Down, Plow an Argothian Enchantress. It's a Ponder on turn 1. I love doing that. I'm very interested in a Hull Breacher. The redundant Plow isn't good. The Loam isn't good. I do like the Ponder, but I'm not going to keep on the strength of that. I'll just shuffle. There we go. Okay, so if Dress Down can bridge the gap into Hull Breacher, might not even need to Dress Down. I guess it depends on how hard they ramp this turn. Right, that's not ramp, just fixing. I'm going to play the Tundra. That does play into Carpet of Flowers, but it answers Sithis cleanly. Destiny Spinner answers Spinner cleanly. Gonna plow that straight up. And land go. I have my best card. The most important card in the matchup is in my hand. It's Hull Breacher. Choke. Okay. There are non-islands I can play this game on. I'm not gonna wasteland here. I don't think that's where I need to be. I'm just gonna keep drawing cards. Hey, Beseiju, what's up, homie? Needed you. Maybe I do want to wasteland here. No, I don't think so. I think having, because I'm about to ramp them with Beseiju anyway. They have 4 cards left in their hand. Okay, there's Sithis. I have that. Paladin class. Okay. I'm gonna Hull Breach in response to this. I'm gonna get Savannah, I guess. Try to play on non-islands. I mean, I'm answering the choke this turn, so that's not super important. Here's Hull Breacher. Have your Paladin class. I get a treasure. You don't draw a card. Trial of Ambition. I get another treasure. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. What does this do? Can I get another creature into play with a Brainstorm somehow? I could Brainstorm into Endurance. Do I think that's important? And I can just plow Sithis, leave them with 1 card in hand. Oh, they have Pally class. Spells cost 1 more. Okay. I care about this. And I do, but alright. It's gonna happen. Hull Breacher's dead. They got 2 cards out of them. Not a bad deal. And then Beseiju is not a spell. I'm just gonna hit the choke. Then I can untap and Swords to Plowshares. And then they have 1 card in hand versus my control deck. What does Paladin class actually do? It's like a one-sided Thalia on your turn. Creatures get +1, and whenever you attack. Okay, so no text after the first ability. Ponder first. My hand is pretty good. Brainstorm, Mystic Sanctuary. I like Brainstorm. I don't like all these lands that are with it. I'm going to shuffle this. And I'm going to plow Sithis. If they had all colors anyway, the Wasteland wouldn't have saved my Hull Breacher. I'm just going to pass. 1 card left over there. What is it? Oh, they're just leveling up their Paladin class. Deal. Okay, that's fine. Prismatic Ending. It's not really helping me right now. I am going to Brainstorm, looking for some proactive business here. That's the proactive business. If I bounce Paladin class, that's not helpful. I don't really want to bounce anything. I'm just going to put these 2 Prismatic Endings back, or Ending and Dress Down back in that order. Not totally sure that matters, but here's blue, white, colorless Teferi. I'm going to plus Teferi. Not a thing I normally do, but my opponent is hellbent over there and scrambling. When your opponent has 7 mana, 6 mana, and activates Paladin class instead of playing a spell. Ugh. Well, let's see what they value here. Yeah, okay, I thought so. And then I can use Teferi to bounce cast out, which gets my Sylvan Library back. And then I can cast out, or I can Prismatic Ending the cast out next turn. Does any of that make sense? I guess it does. Okay, bounce your cast out. Get my library back. And then I can Brainstorm to see a bunch of new cards right now. Mystic Sanctuary, Hull Breacher. Alright, very happy with Hull Breacher. Hide the Sanctuary, hide the Ending, play Tundra, pass a turn. Alright, we got a plan to actually win this game. Under control now. You know, cast out's one of the cards in this hand. You got it. I will end it the second time around. And choke. Okay, I have Prismatic Ending for that also. In my end step, blue, 3, 4, Hull Breacher, go to my turn, draw Prismatic Ending, plus Teferi, and attack. With Ending being an instant, I got more options here. If I just pass, the Tropical Island is stuck tapped. That's so funny. Paladin class is at chapter 3. You got it. In my end step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would cost me my treasure to hit the cast out, but I think that's worth it. I can still exile choke with my other ending. Oh wait, spells cost 1 more. No, it will not cost me my treasure. Dope. Oh wait, Wasteland doesn't tap for colors. So yes, it will cost me my treasure. I think the extra cards are worth more than the mana. Is that true? I gotta figure it out quicker than that. Okay. Oh, right. If I don't target choke first, I lose my treasure. Okay, yeah. White, red, green. Get rid of that. X is 3 colors. Can untap. Yeah, I would not have been able to actually choke the... or exile the cast out if I didn't get rid of the choke first. Not enough mana. Is there a spell I want back? I guess I'll pick Ponder back up. Hitting land drops matters. I like Ponders. If there was a Force of Will to rebuy, I probably would have picked it up here. Try to lock the game down. But I don't have that option. They've drawn a lot of lands, and that makes me very happy. Okay, Prismatic Ending this time on cast out. We got green, white, blue, and red. 4 colors. Get it out. Sylvan Library. That's the difference between game 1, where they had 2 enchantresses, and game 2, where they had 0. Just, that was really embarrassing. They put like 10, 11 mana into Paladin class, and that never did anything, and then died, versus game 1, where they discarded a hand size, discarding 8 cards. I'm thinking that I probably want Force of Negation over one of the Endurances. Endurance is mostly just a butt in this matchup, and Force of Negation could be the difference between getting choked and not getting choked. I'm going to make that change. How about Boseiju, though? That was a timely arrival when we were under that choke. Speaking of Boseiju, this hand does not answer an Enchantress, but I am going to keep it. It doesn't have to answer an Enchantress on turn 1, and I have Ponder to dig. Immune with Spirits. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal enchantment or land from among them, put it into your hand. Estrid's Invocation. Okay. Blue Splash is revealed. Or the reason for the Blue Splash. We already knew about the Blue Splash. This needs to be a... It needs to cast Ponder. Alright, I have green in the hand. Yeah, I guess Tundra is just the guy here. Tundra. Ponder. Dress down Prismatic Ending to Fairy. Yikes. None of these quickly answer an Argothian Enchantress. I guess Dress Down buys me time against one. Do I need time, or do I need... What do I actually need here? I think I'd rather have a Force in my hand than any of this stuff. I'm gonna spin the wheel, shuffle this. Picked up a land. Not excited about that, but Boseiju plus these 2 non-island lands in my hand has me covered from choke. We have Carpet. I was playing around choke anyway. Abundant Growth. Oh, did they keep a 1-lander on the strength of Commune with Spirits? Yeah, they did. Okay. What can I do about that? I think the answer is just ram Sylvan Library onto the stack. Let's go. We have 2 mana to work with here. We know they didn't have a land. If they have a land, it came off the top this turn. Made white mana. Cycling cast out. Cool. Pass the turn. Pass the turn. Right, Pally class. Nice. Sylvan Library is gonna ride. Ooh, that's a relief. Yes, show me these cards. Put 1 on top and pay 4 for the other. And Scalding Tarn. If I... What can I fetch that is not an island? Nothing. Both of my non-islands are already in play. So I'm gonna just chill on this Uro and pass the turn. At some point, my hand will be so good that I don't care if they have the extra mana, but right now the difference between 1 and 2 mana is like an Enchantress in play or not an Enchantress in play. It's a huge deal. If I find the Hull Breacher, I just won't care anymore. I can answer an Argothian Enchantress this turn. Unfortunately, Boseiju, like if they choke me here, Boseiju will ramp them out of this, and we know they have a handful of spells at this point. But now they have to think about Hull Breacher before they make any moves. Oh no, they don't, because they have Pally class. Back to basics. Okay. I'm also okay with that situation. At least as far as you can be okay with this sort of thing. Okay. I'm going to Boseiju that. I have Loam in my hand. So that engine is online. Got that going for me. And I do want to shuffle. At this point, seeing 3 fresh cards is worth it. I'll get the Tropical Island Alright, nice. Okay, I could slam Jace. I could save Jace for next turn. Oh, this is kind of tricky. Arrakis is not an island, which I do like. Okay, I'm going to put Jace on top. I'm going to think about that next turn. And if I Life from the Loam, Boseiju back this turn, I don't actually have to do that. I'm just going to pay 4 life to keep my Hull Breacher. I can loan back Boseiju when it is convenient for me to do that. And don't have to worry about it until that point. We get 2 mana here. I found the Hull Breacher, so I'm set for that. Estrid's Invocation. Are they going to copy Pally class or Carpet? And do I care? All right, go ahead. All right, they copied Paladin class. I can still dress down if that's something I want to do. I could dress down in the end step just to draw a card. I could dress down and then just cast Uro and pass. Also just draw a card. I'd love to find a force, but not forthcoming. Not forthcoming, lol. Tundra and Jace on top. Play another non-island land. Crazy that I've looked at this many cards and not found a Force of Will. They can turn Estrid's Invocation into something different now. They probably want it to be an Omen of the Sea, but I will nab that with Hull Breacher. They already cycled 1 cast out. How many of those could they possibly play? I guess that's a dangerous question to ask. I don't want to tempt fate in that regard. Okay, they just made a second Carpet. It's kind of what I thought they were going to do last turn. Did not make mana with Carpet. Oh yeah, they did. It was just hidden under the second Carpet trigger. Never mind. What's going on? Are we Doomwake Gianting? What's this black mana? Destiny Spinner. Okay, I can kill that. Oh, a new one. When Gloopshrieker enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Target permanent card. Okay. They can get back to basics, I guess. I'm just going to dress down in response. Yeah, let's not do that. Get to draw a card off that. This thing arrives without an ability. I can plow Destiny Spinner and still pay for Paladin class. Another Invocation. I'm going to plow Destiny Spinner in response to that in case they make Paladin class again. Just not interested. I do want to spend my mana this turn. They probably make Omen now that I've tapped out. 2 cards left in their hand. Oh, that's scary. If their 2 cards left are land back to basics, we probably lose. But I'm just going to live in a world where that's not true. Okay, they made another 2/1 creature with no abilities. That card's going to be tough to beat, though. If it would die, exile it. Okay. I do my best to not lose to this thing. Ooh, that's not bad. I'm going to put one of these on top and pay 4 life. Do I need to pay 4 life? Or can I just play Mystic Sanctuary this turn? Yeah, the Paladin class is actually adding up and performing pretty well here. Is this an Uro opportunity? All right, I'm just going to put Tundra on top. And then Mystic Sanctuary. Oh no, I don't have the islands. Shit. I needed that Tundra. God, I'm such a jackass. Okay. Exile the real life Gloom Shrieker. White, green, red. Get rid of that. So if this flickers, it doesn't get to copy the other one. And then I'm going to Life from the Loam, since I have foolishly spent my mana. All right, the door's open for my opponent to mess with me here. They can Estrid's Invocation twice and just scry 2, draw 2. Oh my god, I lost track of my islands. That might have been a $500 mistake. Oh, I guess they could flicker Carpet, copy this Gloom Shrieker, pick up back to basics, just put me in a fucking hole. Oh no. Oh no. That was a $500 mistake. Yep. Yeah. I forgot the second one could copy the copy of the first one. This is really, really bad. I played this so poorly. I deserve to lose. These things even attack. It's like everything is wrong with this. Like I'm at 10 for my Sylvan libraries. They don't even have to think about Force of Will because of their Paladin class. And just, oh, okay, there was an Argothian Enchantress waiting in the wings the whole time. Oh my god, I threw this game in the fucking trash. Say this and Enchantress. They've been sandbagging those the whole game, playing around my Hull Breacher, and now they just deploy it all on a turn where I could have had Hull Breacher in play and just chose not to. Ugh. And it's just 1,000% on me. Just my own bad play made this happen. And they can flicker 3 Estrid's Invocations now? Wait. What was that third trigger? Yeah, they attack for 4. I fetch, kill, back to basics, and then I'm just dead. Oh, I threw this one away. I specifically played a game where I didn't have islands in play, and then I just was like, yeah, Mystic Sanctuary definitely has enough islands to play without actually counting. If I just play Hull Breacher last turn, then I have a creature that can contest the board. They don't get to reload their hand. It buys me time. There was probably a smarter way to play against the Estrid's Invocations as well. I had every tool I needed to win this game and just chose not to use them. Not drawing a Force of Will in 3 games is pretty outrageous, but I can't blame variance when I didn't use the cards that I actually had. Okay, tough start. On to the next one. I'm on the draw in round 2. I'm going to keep... This hand has a land and a ponder, which can bridge the gap to Sylvan Library. Fiery Islet go. Ugh, do I have to play around Stifle? I really don't want to do that. A player with more than 1 land in their hand wouldn't lead on Fiery Islet. I'm going to wasteland them. If they have Stifle, they can hit this instead of my fetch land. Okay. Oh, okay. It's just some weirdo deck. Got it. I'm going to prioritize Force of Will, start effective immediately. And I'm going to get Tropical Island to ponder with, because Sylvan Library is part 2 of this plan. These are not Force of Wills. Shuffle the library. Reckless Impulse. Alright, I'm really glad that wasn't Blood Moon. Oh, okay, they're an Eru deck. I'm so much happier with this than I would have been with a Blood Moon situation. Okay, alright. Eru I can hit with Swords to Plowshares. Or Eruth. There's an H there. Or a T. There's a letter there I wasn't pronouncing. Okay. I will not be jamming Sylvan Library right now. I will be casting Brainstorm. There's a Force of Will. I think I'm actually just sending Sylvan Library to the Shadow Realm. And Prismatic Ending's going to go with it. I played Eruth Storm on the channel. Oh, fuck. There's a Prismatic Ending on top of my deck, but that won't help if I lose right now. I'm going to pitch Uro from Mox. Alright. This is why I forced. Like, if I thought I had another turn, I would just draw the Prismatic Ending on top of my deck and keep things going, but my opponent very clearly lands on... Okay. Doing more this turn. They have 1 card left now. It's Lion's Eye Diamond. Echo of Eons is not in their hand, it's in exile. It's not how that card works. That is how casting Eruth works. Fair enough. Okay. In this case, do I even care about the Prismatic Ending? I don't believe that I do. I'm actually just gonna fetch. Get rid of it, fuck it. Get a Tundra, draw a card. Visage answers that as well. Cool. Ponder. Another Force of Will is not gonna help me, not right away. Don't shuffle, play Misty, plow the Eruth. Now they are hellbent with nothing going on. I'm drawing Force of Will and I have the 3 mana to pay for grid. You know there's a land on top. So I'm gonna ponder off of Tundra. I'm gonna take the land and then shuffle away the other cards. I just don't need anymore. Now I need to win this game. I survived the wave. Now I need to actually convert this into a victory. Need to find an Uro or a Jace or some such thing. I'm gonna brainstorm. I don't need all these plows now. Okay, here we go. 1 plow's good enough. Tundra. And then Sylvan Library. I'm tapped out of Force of Will right now, but I think I'm okay with that. They need to come up with blue mana, Eruth, and a way to draw cards all at once. They were able to come up with none of it. I'm definitely shuffling. Do I want to Mystic Sanctuary? I don't think I do. Not yet. Let me get Savannah. Just round out my colors. There's Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, put Plow on top. Pay 4 life per Sanctuary. Yeah, this is a fun one, because I can Sanctuary buy back Ponder, which is a blue card. If you look very closely, you'll see that it's a blue card. I'm going to play Jace. I'm going to Brainstorm. And I'm going to put back these 2 plows. And I can Boseiju their defense grid and then Force of Will if they try anything. And then Jace is just set up after that. They probably think they're safe because defense grid is up and I only have 2 mana. Okay, there's Rite of Flame. Rite of Flame. Lion's Eye Diamond. Let's see how bad this is. I mean, if they just like empty the Warrens or some crazy juke here, that appears to be what's happening. I hope they get Echo of Eons. Holy shit. Oh no, they're getting Peer into the Abyss? They did just float a ton of mana. Well, time to break their heart. I'm gonna get another Undra. I'm gonna channel Boseiju, destroying defense grid. Womp! The New World Order. Force of Will's coming. Oh yeah, they would have just got Tendrils. I'm over here talking about Peer into the Abyss. I'm at 10. I gotta counter the Burning Wish. Let's see if they have any mountains in the deck. There is a Volcanic Island in the deck. Okay, good to know. Seiju's not a free roll. And I'm going to force this, pitching the Ponder that they know about. Let's pass the turn with 11 mana unspent. F yeah. Top both of these. It's going to start sealing with Jace. Do I want to put that on the bottom? Yeah, I guess. Teferi. Put their Chrome Mox back in their hand. And yes. Their hand is Chrome Mox and whatever they just drew. Karakas removes Aruth from play. She is a legend. Chrome Mox. Gamble. Okay, we are getting echoed here. That was a really good draw. That letting them keep Manamorphose would not have fixed. Alright, we've been echoed. Echoed into 2 Force of Wills and the blue cards to supply them. Works for me. I hope. They're passing the turn. I cannot flash in Endurance here. Didn't have the green mana to do that. Don't need a second to Fairy. And I kind of do like having a plow around, but it made me nervous with that Tendrils line. Plus to Fairy. I can Brainstorm with Jace and then start to pull ahead with Uro. So green, blue, basically colorless. Uro. I'm Uroing first because I do have a land to put into play with the Taiga. And then I can Brainstorm with Jace, seeing fresh cards, another land, put back to Fairy and Life from the Loam, probably in the other direction. Loam and to Fairy. Land for turn. Okay, fasten the turn. 8 cards in hand is really scary. This deck, they've demonstrated they are a defense grid strategy. You just Force of Negation this. Mind's Eye Diamond. Fiery Islet, okay. Relay is good for 4. See how they did. Manamorphose, Gamble, Batterskull Smashing, and Ancient Tomb. Okay. I do want to shuffle my deck. I do want to start clocking. I'm going to cast Endurance. Library showing me Force, blue card, land. Is Dress Down actually good? I mean, it's good against Aruth. Not really willing to take any extra damage right now. I really don't want to die to a mini Tendrils. I'm brainstorm these cards. Swords to Plowshares and land can go away. Or Uro and land. Yeah, no, Uro's with blue card. Get Swords to Plowshares and land. And Prismatic Ending, targeting the Lion's Eye Diamond. I'm going to hang out that powerful spell in front of me. I'm going to deny it from you. I don't feel confident, which is weird to say with 3 Force of Wills against a combo deck, but don't love the position here. I would have loved if that one turn that they had to draw a card before Jace took over. They actually did run a runner against Jace. Had to bottom the cantrip because that's a mystery, and then they drew the card that they would have cantripped into, which was Gamble, which reset the game. Morphos, yep. I guess Defense Grid lines up kind of poorly against Prismatic Ending with Teferi in play. Like, that's a thing to think about. Exiling Defense Grid costs 4 total mana, not 5. because it is a tax effect. It's not like a ward or mana leak kind of thing. You can just pay 4 mana to exile the 2-drop. There's Shatterskull smashing my Teferi. That's interesting. I'm just going to hardcast Force on that. But yeah, that's... I would not have guessed that they cared about Teferi, honestly. But apparently they do. What does that mean for me? It does mean they're passing the turn with outcasting most of their Galvanic Relay cards. I believe there's a land on top of my deck and then unknowns. So I'm going to draw without shuffling. Top both of these. Plus Teferi. Fetch. Oh, that's the last land in the deck. Okay, good to know. And I'm going to attack for my 3. And I think I want to brainstorm before I burrow. Yeah, I'm going for that. Put back, ending, and land. And play Uro. It's time to speed this game up. Still have 2 Force of Wills up. I can pitch cast with both of them, or hard cast one, pitch cast the other. I can dress down or Karakas or Plow and Aruth. I'm much more worried about the Storm half of the deck than the Aruth half right now. Arnfell. That's a really good card. I'm going to force it. Okay, so they have Bergi and Aruth in their deck. It's a big game. LED. Okay. Let's commit to a YOLO Echo. Pass the turn. Deal. Put back Ponder and Dress Down. Then attack with my creatures. They are at 9, so no reason to get fancy here. That's the game. Yeah, that was a stressful opening salvo, and then when I thought I had the hooks in, they wiggled out, but yeah, we were able to just out-control them. It would not surprise me if Blood Moon is a juke this deck has available. Ugh, that sucks. I do want some number of Pyroblast, because Aruth and Echo are both red. Meltdown seems pretty good against this deck. Don't love Prismatic Ending. Flusterstorm looks good. Endurance doesn't seem really important. Light from the Loam seems actively bad, except in the case of Beseiju. I think Hull Breacher is going to be better than Endurance in this matchup. It's just blue for all these forces, and the way they use their graveyard isn't susceptible to Endurance. Okay, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to keep this hand. The hand isn't, like, explosive, but it's also not bad. God, please don't Blood Moon me. Burning Wish, okay. We're just echoing on turn 1. Yeah, they got Echo. All right, just passing. All right, deal. Deal, deal, deal. I wonder if Wasteland or Ponder is the play here. Do you get Echo if you don't have LED? What are we doing right now? I'm going to Wasteland. I don't want to get, like, Defense Grid comboed. I want to at least leave them thinking about life without Defense Grid in play. Gamble. Please put LED straight in the graveyard. Yeah! Yeah! Lost that 80-20. Ponder time. I'd like to find a force. Flusterstorm, backup Uro. I will keep the Flusterstorm. That's just such a good card. If I untap again. That'll. Okay. Let's see another Lion's Eye Diamond go to the graveyard. Oh, no such luck. The Echo hit the graveyard this time. Oh, but they're scared of my force. Deal like that. Okay, I can Flusterstorm the Echo if they go for it. I can Beseiju. Yeah, I'm not gonna Beseiju a Chrome Mox, turn it into a real mana source. I'm gonna fetch Tundra, draw. Okay, I'm gonna Uro and put a land into play for the Fluster. We gotta move this game forward. If I didn't have anything, I wouldn't play that Uro because it kind of forces action. And if I don't want to force action, then I wouldn't play it. But I kind of do want to force action at this point. The Fairy is a pretty great draw. I'm gonna bounce this Chrome Mox. Yeah. It lets them build Storm, but it's gonna cost them a card in their hand to do so. To get that mana back. When they're clearly just hurting on mana anyway. Jace. I don't think I want a Jace here. Not yet. Ponder, bound, Dress Down, and land. Land lets me slam Uro, but not with counter magic backup. Yeah, that's a little tricky. I guess I could just play Boseiju as a land. Okay, yeah, okay. Do not shuffle the library. Fetch. Can I get Volcanic Island, play Boseiju, then escape Uro. Uro gets to put the Tundra into play, so now I am holding up the Flusterstorm still. Okay. There we go. The flavor text on Boseiju coming in clutch. I'm still not in good shape if they have been storing up burst damage or burst mana, and they're just like mana, defense grid, wheel. Could still lose to that, because I don't actually have a Force of Will, but I can ponder into Force of Will. Teferi is under a plus here. If Flusterstorm's not going to get the job done, I can find another way to do it. Rite of Flame. I could have flustered that. Kind of hoping I don't have to. Galvanic Relay. I could fluster the copies, or just let them have it and fight next turn. Yeah, I'm going to fight next turn. Chrome Mox, Relay, Bergie, and LED. Okay. I get a turn to push here. If they try to echo right now, I'll just fluster it, and then if I untap, I just have so many resources available, including the Pyroblast on echo. Okay, they're passing the turn. Sweet relief. Attack with Uro before I do anything else. Let's give myself more information to work with. I did know the top card on my deck. Or no, I shuffled, right? Yeah, that dress down showing up anyway confused me, but yeah, I shuffled my deck. I don't actually know anything. I'm gonna ponder now, and I think I do want this Brainstorm, but I'm not gonna cast it yet. I'm gonna pass the turn from here. I don't need to do a whole lot. This Harnfell, Horn of Bounty is really good if they can cast it this turn, which they definitely can, because there's 2 LEDs. Like, if they commit their whole hand to making that happen, it's a line that exists. Pitch to back up Bergie. They play Bergie, I can dress down, but Harnfell is definitely the swing here. The LED from exile, LED from hand. Oh, they're unloading here. Well, if they were planning on Harnfelling, I don't think they would have played that LED from hand. I guess if their plan is to Harnfell and then also echo, that would do the trick. They crack their LEDs. Oh, there's 2 echoes. That's tricky. See how greedy they get. You echo first, right? I guess if they're worried about removal on Harnfell, then no, you should echo first regardless. Yeah, echoing first is just the right play here. Under target spell if it's blue. Got that going. Storm is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they're not going to be able to pay for the Flusterstorm. They've committed too many storms. They could just relay and try again next turn. Oh, but even if I counter this echo, they have a gigantic relay. Do I care? No, I think getting another turn, like letting them echo is just so bad. They got to pay 7. They only have 5. Yeah, this is an enormous relay. Got to work through that. Here it is. The 8-card relay. Defense grid, Bergie, defense grid, Rite of Flame, Anamorphose, City of Traders. All right, no straight line to anything over there, but it's good stuff. I'm gonna Brainstorm in the end step. I don't really need this Uro or Swords to Plowshares or these cards that are on top of my deck that I knew were there. Oh, there's the second Red Blast. I guess I couldn't fetch it anyway, because Flooded Strand doesn't get Taiga. Oh, Mystic Sanctuary buys back Flusterstorm. I'll take that. Yeah. Good card. Attack with Uro. Yeah, okay. Force of Will. We've come up with a Force of Will. About time. And I'm just gonna... Oh, I have 7 cards in hand. All right. I thought I had to clean up, but I actually just have an extra window open. There we go. I would have discarded Uro to hand size. It's kind of a freebie. I'm just leaving all my mana up because we can see this pile of defense grids over here. Not interested in waiting my way or tapping low into those. Like getting Jason to play would be cool, but they have so many cards in exile. Norm is 1. Norm is 2. Anamorphose is good to go. And they're at 6. It's this turn or never. Now's the time. Got to use our Force of Will, Flusterstorm, Dress Down, Red Blast, Caracas, Swords to Plowshares at 29 life to survive 1 turn cycle. Harnfell is a difficult card to beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to pitch cast this because if they start casting defense grids, then I can't fluster. I want to make sure I'm covered. As much as I can be anyway. Yeah, there's a defense grid. You got it. Better late than never. From Mox. Grape Shot. Targeting Uro. Oh, you're going to make me Flusterstorm your Grape Shot. That's so annoying. On Magic Online. I'm going to have to figure out how to click through this, but I mean, the game is over, so it's fine. There's no more castable cards in exile, and their hand is empty. Okay, Flusterstorm, the original one first. This actually isn't that bad. Carefully clicking my way through. And... okay, not bad. Could have been worse. Storm 8 is not as bad as like Storm 20. And it looks like we've done it. 6/6 creature in play. 6 life on their side of the board. Opponent finally conceded in my combat step. Plenty of time to make this happen. That was a weird turn. They played like I had 15 seconds on the clock, but I had 7.5 minutes. Plenty of time to do it. Okay, on the board. Next round. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. I'm on the play in round 3. This hand is really good against Reanimator or Oops All Spells, and if this was an island, it would be good against everything else, but it's not. I'm not going to keep a 1-lander that can't cast Ponder. There we go. This one's got some play to it. I believe I'm going to bottom Tropical Island and just play a fetch land and pass. I don't know what I'm pondering for yet. I don't need to ponder. I like keeping the Wasteland around. That just has utility in spots that is unique to Wasteland in the scheme of the deck. There's like not a whole lot of cards that do that. Oh. Suspending Riftbolt, huh? That's what we're doing. You got it. Oh yeah, Sylvan Library in the Riftbolt matchup. That's what you like to see. Alright, whatever. Let's get to work here. Maybe I should have cast this off Wasteland to leave a shuffle available, but I'm doing my thing here. I have Uro in hand, trying to survive a turn cycle. Yeah, Tundra is good. And then I'm unlikely to pay for any extra cards this match, but I'll take a Miri's Guile. I haven't seen Burn in like, it feels like months, and I've played against it twice in 2 days now, recording videos for the channel. I'll force an Eidolon. I don't know what else I would care about. Certainly not forcing a Chain Lightning. Okay, put back Sylvan Library, and put back Caracas. And I'm going to use Tundra to cast Uro, which puts Wasteland into play, which helps me play around Price of Progress if necessary. Drop that Wasteland. That can save me a bunch of life if I need it to. Still holding up Force of Will. Oh, they left a mana unspent. What's in their hand that they wouldn't cast? Fire Blast? Alright, there is a Price of Progress. That one's getting countered. I'm not going to waste myself if I have, like, Uro looming. Like, a fetch land? Nope, that's not true. Oh, I can waste myself. A green source casts Uro this turn, which is where I really need to be. Come on, Sylvan Library. Do your job. Yikes. Okay. Put back Sylvan Library. And put back Prismatic Ending. I'm just going to cantrip into the Prismatic Ending and then cast it. Because I can't pay 4, but I do need to work my way into this Uro. This also puts a bunch of cards there, so I don't have to waste myself if I don't want to. And I'm not going to play out the Caracas. It's not furthering my game plan. And it exposes me to pop. That hurt. I really needed Uro in play this turn. Just being at 15 versus being at 12. 4 cards in hand. A lot. At 9. Passing the turn, please. Alright. Sylvan Library. This is your second chance. Oh, good. Alright. Top. Top. I can fetch to 8 life. They can't double fire blast me here. I'm at 5. They can bolt fire blast. I need a green source. It's Savannah, as good as any. I could get all my colors set up. Do I need red? Expressive Iteration is still a card in my deck. Yeah, I should get Taiga. Okay. Green, green, blue, blue. Let's chuck Uro onto the stack, see if I'm dead. Life. Okay, I'm at 8. It's time to count. If I Wasteland myself, I take 6. So putting Caracas in does leave me dead to a single card shot from Price of Progress. I'm just not going to put it in. I'm not going to give them any free money. Like, there are combinations of cards in their deck that kill me here if they just have double Fire Blast. Okay. Yeah, that looks like exactly what they have. Okay, that works too. Yeah. One life point short. That turn that I didn't hit on Uro was the game. If I had Uro a turn earlier, I would be at 3 right now while they're out of gas, but okay. Yep, that's that. For this matchup, I have Flusterstorm, and that's about it. Yikes. And Hullbreacher and Condemned Priest are like creatures that I can put into play and maybe tangle with a Swift Spear or an Eidolon. It's not good. Yeah, this is like Uro or bust. And this is obviously just hyper exposed to Price of Progress at all times. What cards are not good? Dress Down isn't great. I do like Endurance. You need to, maybe not as a 3 of, but I'm not even boarding in that many cards. I'm like shaving cards that I'm not even replacing right now. Yeah, if the argument for Hullbreacher is that it can tangle with creatures, then I'm not cutting in Endurance for it. Endurance tangles much better. Yeah, I think it's just a Dress Down out, Flusterstorm in, or do I add Hullbreacher? Because Dress Down, I guess Dress Down could strip haste off of something and cantrip on the way through and pitches to my 6 forces besides. Okay, I'll try this. Really not much going on for this matchup. It's just let's resolve Uro in time before it's too late. This hand does not have Uro in it. Doesn't even have 3 mana. I'm going to mulligan. Jesus. This is closer to a playable hand. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to send Sylvan Library to the bottom. Obviously, it needs white mana, but this hand has some chances to look for it. Chain Lightning straight upstairs. Okay. There's the white mana. We're working on it over here. Eidolon, unfortunately, is going to resolve. I have the plow for it. Or do I want to? Prismatic Ending. I guess I just want to plow, because Prismatic Ending can hit Roiling Vortex and other things. Alright, deck. Time for you to not F me over. Aggressively F'd. Okay. That sucks. I am Brainstorm locked and can't cast the spells in my hand. Just not even a green mana, much less 2. I'm not going to Dress Down. Like, it doesn't get me through the Brainstorm lock any earlier. And this way, if they have Eidolon, I can Dress Down in response, then plow it when it's in play. Right, now I am going to Dress Down to get through the Brainstorm lock. Okay, I could slam Jace and just hope I'm not dead. I think that's what I have to do. But I am dead. Like, is basically everything. Yeah, like, they're burn. I'm not going to, like, outsmart them. That requires a brain. Okay. I'll top Mystic Sanctuary and Fetchland, I suppose. Yeah, they're just going face. They could have killed Jace. I didn't plus Jace on purpose because I wanted them to bolt it instead of me, but they're just not even slightly deterred. Goblin Guide. I did put a land on top. Small victories. Moral victory. Alright, Jace, find me an Uro. Brainstorm again. F. F in the chat. Put back Sanctuary and Caracas, I guess. Play Scalding Tarn. And yeah, I'm just going to use Endurance to get in front of Goblin Guide. Oh, I don't have any blue cards in my hand for this Force of Will. Jesus. Oh, it's so bad. Everything's bad. I didn't top a blue card, did I? No, I just straight up didn't have one. Okay, Goblin Guide puts Caracas in my hand. I'm gonna fetch. I'm at 2. They have a million cards in their hand. Gonna get Tropical Island. Cast Endurance. They're gonna bolt in response, and then I lose. Surgical targeting. What is this? Dress down. Okay, they're just looking at my hand right now. They don't care about dress down. Like, no chance. They're just checking my hand to see if they can win. And guess what? They can. If endurance resolves, I can plow my own endurance and gain 3 life, but they're not going to let me do that. Okay. Yeah, missed on the Uro turn game 1 and just didn't find an Uro in all of these looks in game 2. And this matchup is really just about Uro. There is no other card that matters at all. I'm glad I already took a loss this league, because losing $500 to Burn would be really disappointing. But joke's on you, Burn player. I'm playing for nothing already. On to the next round. On the play in the 4th round, this is an excellent Bant Control hand that I'm going to keep. I'm just going to Tundra Go, because Tundra casts Plow if I need to do that. I have enough lands and Ponder that I don't mind if I just get Wastelanded. If I could play around it, I would, but obviously there's not a fetch land in this hand. And then I don't want to Ponder and miss on a blue card, because then if I need to cast Force Negation, I have to lose Uro. And I want at least that choice to make, whether Uro or Ponder is more important for the matchup. A Saga player. Oh. Well. Alright, I'm going to Ponder and then Wasteland them. Now that I have the information that they're a Saga matchup. Okay, yeah, I will put Beseju in my hand. And then just snap off this Wasteland. And I'm drawing a fetch land. I can use that to shuffle away. Or I can just Beseju them anyway. Right. Crack this. Probably want. Oh, Savannah's in my hand. Never mind. Oh. Well, there's only. Oh, Taiga, right. That one gets a color I don't already have while making green for Beseju. And I think I do want to just commit to nabbing Saga here. Let's just make that happen. The timing of that might have been better, because now they're going to have 2 mana during my turn. Maybe I'm supposed to upkeep it. I hope I'm unpunished. A Forest. What deck plays Forest? Urza Saga. Oh, lands. Just actual, factual lands. Got it. It's like, what is this great mystery? I have Force Negation if this is Loam. Oh, it's Zenith for 1. Yeah, that's fine. You gotta... Oh, Elisar Shepherd. Oh, my opponent is on some business here. I was like, oh, they're gonna get Elvish Reclaimer, but no. Foolish me. I'm gonna Uro and then Plow. And hope they don't have Choke in their main deck. Guess I don't need to Plow right away. I could do the trick. Just let them think that their spell's gonna resolve and then counter it instead. That sounds good. Oh, we're on Amulet. Do I want to fight over the Amulet or the payoff? Okay, you have Amulet. Simic Growth Chamber. Okay, this makes sense as a deck that would have Basic Forest and Saga in it. I get it. I see what you're doing. I'm gonna force a Summer Bloom here or force the Primeval Titan. I think I want to force the Primeval Titan. It's full busted Summer Bloom Amulet deck. Awesome. I hope they just make 6 mana and make their Elisar Shepherd a 5/5 and attack. That would be great for me. Best possible. This is a matchup that Beseju is very good against. It's already paid off a little bit. Let's hope it stays that way. Okay, Swords to Plowshares, your Shepherd, Force of Will, and pray to whatever deity you believe in that they don't have Veil of Summer. Okay, cool. They have Simic Growth Chamber and 2 mystery cards in their hand. I'm bringing back Uro here and putting Wasteland into play. I get to leave 1 card in the graveyard. I'm leaving Beseju in case I find Loam. It's a good one to have hanging around. Ooh, the appearance of the 1-of Expressive Iteration. Always happy to see that. We're just hardcasting Once Upon a Time, so we've reached that phase of the game. Like 5 looks at Caracas or Concede, maybe? Just trying to think of how they get out of this. They found their own Beseju. That can blow up my Wasteland if they... Oh, well, there's that. I'm going to Iteration first. Start my turn with that. see where it's going. I'm gonna put, if I put the land in my hand, I can attack and put it in. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put Misty Rainforest in my hand, exile, or put Scalding Tarn on the bottom, then exile Teferi. Then I'm gonna attack first. The attack puts the land from my hand into play. And then I can, oh, I have to fetch first, right. Thought I messed this up, but I didn't. Sequencing matters. I'm gonna get Tundra, then I'm gonna cast Life from the Loam, and then I'll play my Misty Rainforest, cast Teferi, bounce Amulet. Do I have 3? I do. Okay. 1, 2, 3 islands. All right. Mystic Sanctuary, rebuying Expressive Iteration is pretty exciting. Wish I had a Force of Will to rebuy, but I don't. Burrow 8 it. And chuck your Amulet. I am not going to Dredge Loam. Okay. If they win this turn, they win. But if they don't, Boseiju is up. I could have skipped on the Teferi and just held up Boseiju for the turn. Maybe that's the control player correct thing to do. Like if I put Teferi in hand, exile land, just play my land drop, cast Loam, pick up Boseiju, maybe this game becomes really hard to lose. Oh god. I may have thrown this one away. Okay, they picked up a basic forest, that's good. Yeah, if they picked up some Growth Chamber, I would have been in trouble. But they didn't. Plus Teferi. This time I'm going to attack first. I already have a land to put into play with Uro. I iterated before I attacked last turn because I was trying to find land drops to get into play with Uro. I don't need to do that now. They're at 9. I'm holding Endurance, Dress Down, and Boseiju, and I'm holding up a Wasteland. I'm actually just going to zap off the Wasteland. You want to put Karu lands into play against me? I'm taking them. Okay, I have Lethal. And Dress Down plus removal spell is, if you play any Modern, you know how good that is against Amulet. It's like stop the primetime on the way in and then kill it. And then attack for 9. Opponent is Boseijuing my Sanctuary. Sure. Put a different land into play and then attack. Land chosen at random from my deck because it doesn't matter. 9 minus 9 is 9 by my count. Boom. Sweet deck. Let's hope we can take another game off it. Okay, this one is a Green Sun Zenith deck. I think I would still, like, this is the 3rd matchup in a row that I would rather have Force of Vigor than Containment Priest, but at least Priest does have some text here. Priest sucks ass. That was a mistake. Don't play that card. My sideboard has been largely non-functional for this entire league. I guess the Hull Breachers were big, but like all of this stuff, just no blue matchups yet, no graveyard decks. I guess I brought in some. I don't know. I feel like I haven't been using my sideboard, but I guess I actually have. Force of Negation. They do have the Summer Blooms and the Amulets. Oh, right. Meltdown. They are a Saga deck. That happened so early on, I almost forgot about it. I don't think Breacher is where I want to be. Staticaster can kill Shepherd, but I don't think that's a priority. Because Ending and Plow also kill Shepherd without being awkward bricks elsewhere. I think I'm going to just shave Force of Negation and maybe a Prismatic Ending. Yeah, I think I like that. That makes sense to me. An Ending answers Amulet, but I'm bringing in a card that also answers Amulet, like upgrading it to a more powerful thing. And then one of the primary targets of Force of Negation is Green Sun Zenith, and I'm bringing in a thing against that. I don't think I need Surgical Extraction. Like, I could see a world where you want to answer the first prime time, then surgical them, but I don't really like committing to that game plan against decks that I can beat fair. I don't mind it against like Show and Tell, but against a deck like this where I can constrict them in more than one way, I'm going to keep this and just kind of hope they hang out an Amulet on turn 1. Yeah. I'm going to get Tundra. Maybe I'm supposed to get Savannah. Like Choke and Carpet are both cards that could be in this deck. I do have 2 islands in my hand already. Yeah, I'm going to play around those where I can. Just need to remember that Mystic Sanctuary is going to bite me later. There's the Shep. May have gotten baited. It's fine. Got a deck full of removal. Ponder. Yeah, I'm gonna ponder now. Any plow or ending is a good hit. Sage, you dress down Force of Will. Wow, that is actually a really interesting spread. Okay, I will keep them. None of them are particularly helpful right now, but together they will bust open next turn. Smashing for one here. They didn't do anything. I like that. And maybe I'm just supposed to bounce Shepherd with Teferi, or maybe I'm just supposed to ambush Shepherd with Endurance. I like that. Yeah, that I'm much more excited about. Zenith for 3. They have a Leovold? Like, what is this thing? I'm gonna let this happen. Dryad, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Shepherd still rams into Endurance if they choose to attack. Be foolish. Alright, they knew better. I'm gonna cast my Endurance. You were right. You caught me. Now Besaju's in my hand, and that can kill Dryad. It is an enchantment. I think I'm just gonna pass the turn. Dress down plus Force blue card checks a lot of boxes here, and then Besaju checks the other boxes. I have the mana to dress down, Force blue card, and Besaju something. Kind of disappointing that Dryad of the Elysian Grove, for some reason, adds a text box to these sweet textless forests. What the fuck? Come on, Magic Online. That looks so cool. Okay, blue and not blue, leaving green available just in case. Dress down in response. That's not a plow, so I guess I do have to force this thing. If I had a plow, I would just let it resolve and answer it another way, but I don't, so I won't. I am going to roast the Dryad. I don't care if they get to tutor a land. I just want their lands to be full art again. I'm a good helper that way. Oh, sick. That was a good draw. Then I guess I should fetch first. 1, 2. All right, I don't have... Do I need to fetch first? Yeah, I'm gonna fetch first. The difference is like revealing that this card isn't a spell versus getting full value off of the Light from the Loam, where if I draw a Brainstorm, I'm gonna, or Jace, I'm gonna be really glad I did that. And Loam. I'm gonna tap non-islands to cast the Loam. Now I'm holding Besaju and Swords to Plowshares. And I can do both. Fire up the old Shepherd. In for 5. Let's go. Oh no, they have a second Primeval Titan. Oh no, they are firing up the old Shep. I'll plow it. I don't even think that's the right play. Like, just take 5, save your Swords to Plowshares for the Primeval Titan that you're going to lose to. But, I don't know. That's actually a tough one. I mean, I'm not winning the race, and that card does give them a lot of freedom to assert themselves on the game. Yeah, I actually do think that's the right play, in retrospect. If I don't mind tapping myself on the back a bit. Come on, Brainstorm. Nope. Now I do have the requisite number of islands in play to Mystic Sanctuary. I could grab Ponder or Force of Will, depending on what emerges here. Or the Swords to Plowshares. Like, I could Besaju whatever the scary combo land that comes out of a Primeval Titan is, and then plow the Titan. I guess I don't even know, like, what Primeval Titan gets in Legacy. Yeah, there it is. Got nothing to say about that. Wonder if it's going to get, like, Bounce Land and Teleria West and just set up a grind loop moving forward. Okay, Saga makes sense. That card actually does win a game on its own. Ooh, maybe getting 2 Sagas was the play. They know I can answer 1. We're about to learn how many lands they have in their deck with land types. 3 of them are accounted for. I can't imagine there's many more. Okay, now I have an actual choice of just get the Swords to Plowshares, clear out the prime time, and move forward with the game, or get Ponder, try to like Ponder into Jace into Plow and really push the game forward. I'm just gonna play safe. Sanctuary, this Plow back on top. Yes. Do not dredge Loam. I worked very hard for that. Plow the Titan. And Besaju the Saga. Don't want to deal with that. You have at least 4 forests in the deck. We are collecting information left and right here. To pay for pack this turn. Tons of mana to do that with. Please don't have another Titan. Transmuting Teleria West. That can get a Summoner's Pact to Titan again next turn. It gives me a draw cycle in between to try to figure it out. Or they could just get Saga now, get to work. But they've seen Wastelands. Like, Loam is literally in my graveyard. Yeah, Bojuka Bog makes sense. Clearing out my Loam and my Boseiju. Okay, alright. Smart. They're investing in the long game here. Oh, geez, yeah. Yeah, the long game was worth investing in. Alright, deck. Spell. Good spell. Relevant spell. Oh, you fucker. I needed you last turn. If I could have forced that Ramen up, I would have felt ahead. But now I'm just miles behind to this Saga. Bummer. There's the Saga from the graveyard. Always in business for a Wasteland, though, deck. Okay, Prismatic Ending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright. I can play the 8th land out, and then I can Prismatic Ending, Ramen up, and hold up Force of Will. I'm a little behind to this Urza Saga already. They have their own endurance. Okay. Best case scenario, they block and they double block, and I can just clear their board. Worst case scenario, they just bounce butts. All right, yeah, we can bounce butts. Then Prismatic Ending, white, blue, red. Get rid of the Excavator, but now I need to figure out this Urza Saga before I'm dead. Amulet? Yikes. I'm not forcing Amulet, I'm forcing the payoff. All right. They don't want to touch butts anymore. They're attacking. A spell, please? Damn it. All right. I do want to touch butts, but I guess their thing will be a 4/4 when it attacks. But I can block the endurance at least. All right, yeah, I'll take what I can get here. Need a meltdown or dress down or brainstorm to fix my shitty hand. Yeah, that one turn, I drew Force of Will and Prismatic Ending in the wrong order. Couldn't clear out the Excavator before Saga was ready to go. No attack. Okay. Oh, they're worried about Swords of Plowshares. That's a lot of respect. I like it. Don't like that. Player Stronghold. This gives +2/+0, haste, and Vidge. Okay. Now the endurance can eat my endurance. They're not even touching butts anymore, and I'm dead if I don't block. Oh, that was a good one. Can at least make them do it, I guess. Ouch. Yeah, now I need to brainstorm or Jace my way into an answer for multiple things. One piece isn't good enough anymore. And there's Sylvan Library, that stupid asshole. Expressive Iteration would have been great there. Yeah, bad top deck. That's why I don't like Sylvan Library. I mean, it's been good at other points in this league. I'm not just like, you know, cards unplayable, but this is a spot where Expressive Iteration would have filled me with joy and hope, but Sylvan Library, the game ends. Okay. We've now seen Zenith and Pact, both confirmed. Summer Blooms in the deck. I still, even though we did lose that game because we were missing a removal spell on the important turn, I still think this sideboard plan is appropriate. So maybe Priest sucks. Yeah, this has been a huge spew. Force of Vigor would have been better in all three of the matches we've played than Containment Priest has been. I don't miss Force of Negation. I think it is correct to not play a 7th Force in the board, but Containment Priest was not it. I can admit when I'm wrong. I wish I knew how many Zeniths they had. I have to imagine they have more packs, like 4 packs, and then they fill in the edges with Zenith. Now I am keeping the Priest in. Zenith is just so powerful. Really messes up my life. I don't think this is a Paradox Zone matchup. Like, it feels like a combo deck, but your tools that slow it down, like maybe one of the endurances should be a Paradox Zone. I'm gonna keep this. Ponder, kick it off. I'm looking for relevant spells. Yeah, those are all good spells. Put Brainstorm in my hand, Prismatic Ending on top. Next turn, the perfect lineup is I Brainstorm, crack a fetch, and exile a spell. Alright. Yeah, I can exile Exploration. Well, Soul, or Caruland picking up Boseiju. That's a cool trick. Respect. Brainstorm. Gonna pick up another Prismatic Ending and 2 mystery cards. Those are some good mystery cards. They're actually so good that I don't want to shuffle them away. I'm just gonna play the 100 from my hand for my ending here. I can draw fetch land next turn and decide what I want to do from there. Dryad, I'm gonna ending that next turn. They have Slayer's Stronghold in their hand. I'm gonna fetch Taiga. That gets me the third color, the second green, and it isn't an island, all of which are things that I like. Roast that. Zenith for 1. This is gonna get Allosaurus Shepherd. I can bounce that with Teferi, buy myself some time. Unless they just go off this turn. In which case I would have to force the amulet on the way down. Burrow, okay. Bounce the Shepherd. I'm just going to hope that sets them back the mana that they need to do everything they want. Happy to find a land off that cantrip. Need to keep this thing moving forward. Yep, resolves. But you knew that already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this does not cast prime time. Oh, that's cool. Sick. Just haste vigilance killing my Teferi. This has been the showcase of the fair draft bomb version of Slayer Stronghold. Just twice it's just been in play, pumping random creatures without actually being involved in a combo. That prismatic ending was dope though. It's a lot worse without Teferi in play, let me tell you. That would have been the spot to get them to commit to the Primeval Titan, exile their thing, and then you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to explain it. Yeah, Wasteland, what's up? I think I want to waste the Caracas because Uro is my plan. But Uro's not my plan for a while. I can just leave Wasteland face up. I could also just accept their Bajuka Bog deck, and this Uro might not be happening anyway. Yeah, I'm going to hit Simic Growth Chamber. I just don't want them to Primeval Titan me. At all. At any point. Endurance. Is this something I want to fight over? I don't think so. I think that's a trap. Go ahead, endure me. Uro already drew cards. Pulled me ahead. I committed to wasting the growth chamber based on the strength of, like, between endurance and Bajuka Bog. Like, I played to not get Primeval Titaned. So I'm not going to spend my Force of Will on endurance and then they just go land Primeval Titan next turn. Still can't beat this Slayer Stronghold with my endurance. This fucking card. Ooh, this is a dirty trick. All right, I'm going to let Pact resolve. Like, if I force a negation the Pact, then they can go land Primeval Titan. Cool. Force of Will. They have to pay for Pact next turn. That'll slow them down a bit. Yeah, Sylvan Library, Lego. And they just played the Seiju out to get the Primeval Titan on the stack. I like that. I'm holding up Hardcast Force of Negation. Hope they don't have a Keru that can pick up the Beseiju and kill my library, because this is my whole plan right now. Fuck! Okay. Okay! Their deck is so cool. Get all these cool tricks. I'll take the land, but I would have rather drawn 3 cards. Yes, I'll use the ability. Wise guy. I want Savannah. And I haven't seen a loam out of them yet. I am going to deploy my endurance and just target nobody. I'm not putting all their cool. I've seen a lot of tutors, but no. Oh, I've seen Ramanap Excavator. About to say no recursion. That's not even true. I'm going to attack because I'm not blocking. And I could just Prismatic Ending this thing and hope for the best. Yeah, I'm like losing on board right now, which gives me a lot of incentive to stabilize the board. Leaving up for some negation. If they just have prime time, I'm in trouble. If they have to Pact or Zenith for it, I'm okay. They're just casting Endurance. Okay, deal. I'm gonna have haste, so the race is on. Deck full of removal. Come on now, help me out. All this deck does is draw cards and remove permanents. Let's do a little bit of that. Jeez. All right, I'm going to hold on to that for a brainstorm. Yeah, not blocking. Just putting it on me here with their Slayer Stronghold. Limited All-Star Slayer Stronghold. Oh no, getting worse. Quickly devolving here. They broke open this stalemate first. Okay. Seen worse. They should be suspicious that I didn't attack. If they make a construct and haste it, it only has 3 power, so that's not even good. All right, I can plow here. They just did it before combat. Oh god. All right, I need a dress down or a meltdown. Down tribal. I would also accept brainstorm or ponder. Okay, ponder, let's go. Let's go. Help me out here. Okay, I like Teferi, and Teferi cantrips into brainstorm. Not shuffle. Fairy, white, blue, colorless. Teferi can bounce the existing construct because they main phased it. I get that go. I get to do that. Lay out the land so I can still force of negation. And I guess I leave endurance back because their things do still have haste. Shit. I got excited. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was a little unearned. This Slayer Stronghold dominated. Absolute domination. Okay. I'm not going to fetch in response. Like, I don't think they're going to try to cheese my Pithing Needle on my Flooded Strand. I just don't think that's the play. Endurance does trade with Construct Token. Haste and Vigilance is not first strike. They would need to come up with another artifact, like in addition to this one. Yeah, and they didn't. Okay, cool. Easy block. 5/3 and 3/4 do trade with each other. My top card, I believe, is a land I don't want. I'm gonna take my shuffle. I'll grab a Trop, and then let's go. Endurance, not bad. I'm gonna brainstorm. I do have Planeswalkers in my deck. Okay. Don't want Misty Rainforest. Prismatic Ending's actually good. 1, 2, 3 Endurance, 1, 2 Sylvan Library, 1 Prismatic Ending. Okay. If I put Force on top, I am just completely giving up on winning any sort of counter battle, but I think we've already lost that battle. These constructs are going to be 4s. No, but I get to kill one of them. All right, yeah. The board is theoretically stable. If they have a Retrofitter Foundry, they can crack it. Let's hope they just haste up one of these guys and attack. Or haste up the other guy, and then I get to sweep out combat, and they don't have a follow-up, please. No additional things, please? Okay, cool. We're doing it. Oh, they're thinking about it. Yeah, they realize they don't actually have a play that doesn't include attacking. Okay. Endurance. Target, nobody. Block, the 4/4 version. Prismatic Ending, the 6/4 version. Making the 4/4 into a 3/3, which is smaller than a 3/4. And now let's hope they don't Primeval Titan second main. They have their own endurance. Probably going to target me. Yep. Let's keep an Uro in check, even though they have Caracas, but it's worth doing, I bet. Oof. Do I go to 1? I don't think I can go to 1. Definitely putting this on top. Oh, right. If I go to 1, my fetch land kills me. I'm definitely not going to 1. Top. Plus Teferi. Let's pass the turn. This doesn't give trample, just haste and vigilance. Any creature is a problem, but if they have anything that's not a creature, I'm very dead to Primeval Titan. My third card down would have to be like Dress Down or Force of Will. I can still YOLO Brainstorm. There's one card I don't know about, and I can Brainstorm into the Force of Negation as well. That is there if they have to, if they go for a Zenith. There's some action here. All right, just up front, enduring. I am going to chump for the turn. I'm not going to try to brainstorm and hope to hit a card on my third card down. Like, if I go to my turn, Teferi can bounce this, get a card deeper, and then brainstorm gets a lot more action. Okay, never mind. Brainstorm. Oh, that's actually really good. Misty Rainforest, Dress Down. Get to Force of Negation this. Counter that. I go to my turn. Sylvan Library happens. I just crossed under the 5-minute threshold. Gotta be careful. Top. Top. Bounce this lethal attacker. And pass the turn. If I dress down after they Slayer Stronghold, the creature loses haste. There's Endurance. It's hitting my graveyard. Okay. Slayer Stronghold. Activation. It's bigger. Go into combat. and then I dress down. It loses haste due to timestamps. I have worked through my brainstorm lock. End of turn, I'm going to Containment Priest. Let's just get this thing into play. It's Sylvan Library. You're looking at 3 fresh ones. Let's go. Those are good ones. I'm going to put Brainstorm and Force of Will on top of my deck. I'm going to play Jace. I'm going to activate Brainstorm with Jace. And put these 2 back. I have Force Blue card if I need it. Just Slayer Strongholding the Endurance. That's good. It means they don't have another creature. Chump blocking. Good work, Containment Priest. It's probably the best you're going to be this league. Library. Let's go. Yes. Okay. Top. Burrow. Green, blue. I'm worried about the clock right now more than my opponent, as usual. Brainstorm with Jace. Back Sylvan Library and Ponder. Expressive Iteration. Red, blue. I'm going to put Ponder in my hand. Library on the bottom. Exile Ponder. Cast Ponder. Looking for Swords to Plowshares here. Wasteland. Do not shuffle the library. Play Wasteland. Waste the Slayer Stronghold. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've done it. I need to fetch. Another Tundra. Ponder. Looking for Swords to Plowshares again. Shuffle this. Just really looking for Plow and nothing else. Loam's really good. Okay, Loam gets back Wasteland, which kills Karakas, which lets my Uro do stuff. They should kill Jace this turn. Yep, there it goes. I'll miss him, but don't need him anymore. 2.5 minutes to click through Sylvan Library. They played Boros Garrison and pass the turn. Yes, use the ability. Top. Life from the Loam. Green, blue, Wasteland, hit, Karakas, Burrow, green, blue. I'm going to exile Life from the Loam just for speed so I don't have to click through it. Here's Uro. Uro generates Misty Rainforest, fetch. There should be a Tundra left in my deck. Tundra's left in my deck. The Fairy. Bounce Endurance. And let's go. I'll Force of Will, Primeval Titan, and other than that, I'm just attacking. I'm going to start declining my Sylvan Library just for time. It's annoying. Resolves. No, don't do that. Attack with Uro. Not going to put a land in. Jump block. Yeah, they're playing for the clock now. Not mad at them for it. It's all part of the game. 90 seconds or 80 seconds. I wish I had my Containment Priest for that Dryad Arbor. There's Uro or Endurance. Target nobody. Decline my library trigger. Deck. Kill that. Plus to Fairy and pass. Okay, we're back to my turn. Don't use library. Land in. Plus to Fairy and pass again. 28 seconds to make this happen. Resolves. Always yield to amulet triggers. Yeah, like even if... I'm definitely winning this game, but I don't know that I can counter all these things I need to counter in the 20 seconds I have. And they're replaying the same Vesuva and picking up the same Vesuva with all these Summer Bloom triggers. Like, it might literally just be wasting time on purpose, but F6 doesn't care about that. Okay, they do have a Primeval Titan. Alright, I'm glad they weren't just wasting time. Or were they? Okay, they just passed priority after all that. Cool. Attack. My land in. Alright, we did it. Oh my god. Woo! 5 seconds on the clock. GG's. Opponent with the Moto strats, just bouncing the same Vesuva 4 times with 3 amulet triggers, plus the trigger itself, just putting 16 triggers on the stack. Okay. Alright, glad we won that one. On to the next round. On the draw in the final round. Perfectly acceptable. Lands in Ponder's hand. Even got a Force of Will to go with it. Stand's kind of bad against Delver. Oh, baby. Oops, all spells. And they have the Thoughtseize. Probably should have forced the Thoughtseize just so they know what they need to beat. Or don't know what they need to beat. I don't know. They probably go for it anyway. Yeah, I wish I put more thought into that. I think forcing Thoughtseize is good. Like they're definitely just going to take it anyway. So, yeah, they're not going to plan for like turn 3 when I could dress them down. Okay. I mean, the fact that they didn't have the instant dead follow-up is good. I'm going to ponder. I'm going to keep the ponder. I just want to show strength here and try to buy the time into the dress down because it's very clear what they're doing. I kept my ponder, like taking the YOLO shuffle, trying to hit a 3-outer. Well, now they're committed anyway. Okay. All right. The bluff didn't work, but I think I'm dead more often if I shuffle than if I don't. Okay. You did it. Or maybe they have Pact Negation and they don't even care. Going to take a quick look at their deck, see if there's anything surprising in there, or if this is just... There's not a lot of slots for anything surprising. Wall Therapy, Dark Rituals, Cabal Rituals. Yeah, all the shit you'd expect. Memory's Journey is worth knowing about. Okay, I'm dead. All right, Containment Priest, it's your time to shine. You have done nothing this whole league. You're going to be a force of vigor for my next step in this project. There's definitely going to be at least one more 4-color red Bant league due to not winning this one. Okay, now that I know the matchup, I can mulligan to my 11 0-mana spells. Prismatic Ending, don't think does anything. And it could like hit a Chrome Mox if they commit, or Swords to Plowshares really doesn't do anything. Okay, Plow is worse than Ending, but they're both really bad. I could up my blue count and my flash creatures by putting in Hull Breacher. Is it Staticaster? Doesn't really help. Like sweeping up their Narcomoebas is like a thing Is it Staticaster can do, but that doesn't help if they have a bridge from below. I think I do want some red blasts in the deck because they have Force of or Pact of Negation in their deck. They are not without blue cards. And just these white removal spells really don't do it. Okay, here's what I'm doing. Okay, 2 forces, a ponder, and a containment priest. Keep these. And I am going to fetch Tundra, cast ponder. This is a situation where I'm trying to hit my second land drop almost at all costs, rather than maximizing a long-term ponder, because this game's not going to go long-term. And it's nice that I have Force of Negation. I can point that at a discard spell and then still have Force of Will for their payoff. They would need 2 checks and the combo to get through me on turn 1 here. And it's possible I even ponder into just like Surgical and with a land under it. Like, a lot going on here. Ponder. Did find a land. Is Wasteland or Reb? Well, I can't cast Reb anyway, so I will put the Tundra in my hand. Containment Priest will win this game if I get to cast her. Gotta survive this turn right now. Enchanted Swarm. Do I care? I think Containment Priest gets to ignore that. Yeah, resolves. I even have Teferi that can clear that thing next turn. All right, Containment Priest on my own turn. Face up, here it is. I'm doing this now so they can't Pact of Negation it and win all in the same turn. But Xanted Swarm would force the action on that anyway. There's a long pause right now. I imagine my opponent is thinking if they can beat this, if it's worth their time to try to hard cast Balustrade Spies and whatever and attack me. Okay. They want to do it. If they have some sort of pivot sideboard into Belcher, that'll work. That'll kill me. But I'd be surprised. They could try to mill me out with the Balustrade Spies. Yeah, there we go. Told ya. Just need to survive to turn 2. That's a little bit of vindication. I mean, not that I'm super excited about it comparatively. Like how bad Containment Priest was this whole league versus finally paying out in the one matchup where it's the best. But at least we got to showcase it a little bit. I'd still rather have a different card there. The Pyroblast does require red mana, which is the mana I'm going to try not to have. And now that we've seen Xanted Swarm, I like Prismatic Ending a little more. Just going to make that switch. Okay, I'm doing that. This hand is not keepable. I mean, it's keepable, but I don't like it. My opponent kept 7, Jesus. All right, mulligan. There we go. Keep this one, send Wasteland to the bottom. 2 forces. I can even Prismatic Ending as Xantid Swarm if they lead on it. Dress down if the game goes that long. All Swarm and Norman over here. This is why you adjust your sideboard. You get Tundra, Prismatic Ending this. Prismatic Ending really cleaned up these awkward combo matchups where you're like, I really don't want Swords of Plowshares in, but what if they have Xantid Swarm? It's like, you can leave in Prismatic Ending. You can eat a defense grid or a whatever. I'm gonna force pitching Jace. They're definitely gonna name force with that. Come on, land. Give me that dress down. Yikes. Oh, at least it's blue. But now they know my hand is 4 spells because I missed my land drop. And that will probably affect how they play. Don't Cabal Therapy me again. Oh, Thoughtseize. Okay. You can have the information rather than the 2-for-1. Because they can't take me off forces entirely. And with 4 cards left, they have to beat a Force of Will. I mean, it can happen. But knowing the dress down is in my hand, they might just take the dress down as like the 2-for-1 rather than the 1-for-2 answer if this game is going to go long. Or maybe their hand can just dumpster through a single Force of Will right now, and they don't even care. Any of these things are possible. They did take the dress down. Okay. I suspected they might. Okay. Now I have a different pitch card that they haven't seen yet. So if they play any creature, like if they have another Xantid Swarm, they don't even need to attack with it. They can just flashback Cabal Therapy immediately, strip my forces. So force pitching force on a Xantid Swarm might lull them into false security. I don't know. We'll see. All right, we're in the turn passing phase of the Oops All Spells matchup. Okay. I am rolled up on reactive elements here. I do need to win this game somehow. Okay, well, this is nice because it's a freebie. They were just going to name force anyway. And now, as far as they know, my hand's empty, but I have endurance and surgical. And that was a forced play, so it's not even like, I don't know. I didn't really even give up any information there. Oh, that's really fucking bad. Jesus Christ. Of course. All right, time to draw the other Prismatic Ending before it's too late. Brainstorm, help me. Land Prismatic Ending. This is how it ends, team. They were very patient, found a second Xantid Swarm. I don't think there's any chance that we're alive at the end of this turn. Because they wouldn't have kept a hand that can't combo, and they just spent 7 turns not comboing. Damn, yeah. They really did make it happen here. I was unable to push my advantage, just all answers, no threats. Even had the correct sideboard lineup for game 3 with the Prismatic Endings back in. Yep, get fucked me. Yeah, sometimes the deck with, you know, no lands in it outdraws the deck with 10 cantrips, but that's Magic. We got beat. They drew 2 of their best sideboard card, and we could only answer 1 of them. Maybe I'm supposed to have more Prismatic Endings in. Not sure. They played that really well, though. They were patient. They picked their spot, picked me apart. Okay. A 2 and 3 start with this red version of the deck. I am immediately replacing Containment Priest with Force of Vigor. I'm definitely doing that for my next league. Force of Vigor would have been good in a number of spots, and Containment Priest, we did play against the matchup that it's ostensibly for, and it did win the game that we cast it, and then we ended up losing the match anyway, but that card is just too low impact, and we have a lot of tools against that deck anyway. Like, between the Reanimator, Oops, and Elves triumvirate that you would want Containment Priest against, it's only at its best against Elves, and even then they can just get Grist instead of whatever they were planning on getting with their Green Sun Zenith. So, yeah, maybe Priest time has passed. It's a card I used to really like in white decks, but it just has not performed. I also think this is too many Red Blasts. After playing the League, we can turn one of them into a Hydro Blast which gives you game against Blood Moon, and it's still good against Delver. You don't need that many tools for blue mirrors. Like, you're an Uro deck with Expressive Iteration and Loam. Like, that. This is 3 is enough. 4 is too many. The Hull Breacher was good in the one matchup we brought it in. I'm not sure if I would have brought in Narset in other matchups that I didn't bring in Hull Breacher for. Those are my adjustments for the next round of the Spunky Challenge. This is the 75 I'm gonna step forward with for my next $500 swing. As far as Brendan's control deck analysis goes, I did kind of miss the hell out of Witherbloom Command. I'm not gonna lie. I've gotten very used to 2-for-1ing my opponent early and often. It's just more copies of Prismatic Ending, more copies of Loam, more lands in the deck. Like, functionally more lands in the deck, because you just always pick up another land. This deck is not as good at doing that. As far as Sylvan Library versus other options go, Sylvan Library was very good once in the league, pretty good once in the league, and a dead top deck once in the league. I guess I like that it forces your opponent to react to you early, which is not something this deck can do otherwise. And if they spend their Force of Will or their Prismatic Ending on your Sylvan Library, then that clears the way for it to Fairy, which we are playing in a higher number than normal. That does line up well. 6 is a lot of forces, but again, that feeds the Sylvan Library plan of ride the library to victory. I feel like there's just some layer of power missing from this deck, whether it's Field of the Dead or more expressive iterations. Maybe the deck wants 2 Jace. I'm trying to think of where I can find just like another level of power for this deck. I still think 3 has a lot of endurance, even though we did just lose to Oops All Spells. It wasn't because we didn't have an endurance, it was because they had Xantid Swarm. Out of the sideboard, compared to the black decks, Pernicious Deed is a card that I've missed. Plague Engineer is a lot better than Is It Staticaster, by and large, like in the matchups that you want it. They're pretty comparable, I guess, but Plague Engineer really just shuts down things where Staticaster slows them down. Compared to the Jeskai decks, the mana in this deck is really bad. Just worrying about Blood Moon, worrying about Back to Basics. We actually lost a match to Back to Basics. It wasn't even just hypothetical, just losing to Back to Basics, having to fight through that, having to leave up mana for Boseiju, just those sort of things compared to the Jeskai decks that have perfect mana off of mostly basics, and they get their own Blood Moons, they get their own Back to Basics. That's a comparison. Compared to the Hull Breacher builds of Jeskai, this deck doesn't close. Even having like 1 Days Undoing in a shell that otherwise supports it, like if you're just playing Narsets and Hull Breachers anyway, just having 1 Days Undoing in the deck as an eject button, if you get ahead, just something to dig for to shut the door, is pretty nice. And then the Jeskai decks that are like basically Omni Show, that just play 3 Hull Breacher, 3 Narset, 3 Days Undoing, they're always ending games quickly. And then you really get to leverage your 6 forces or 7 forces because you just don't care about card advantage. You just care about 2 spells resolving over the course of the game, and then you win. This deck and the 4-color Bant deck, neither of them do that. They are committed to grinding. The more traditional Jeskai lists I've seen, the one that I like the best, it has 1 Days Undoing in it, and it's playing Narsets and some Hull Breachers anyway, just incidentally. It's just decided to use 1 slot for Days Undoing as the eject button, but otherwise is a more normal deck than the really dedicated ones. This is just my first league with this deck, and I'm going to play it 2 more times, but so far I like this less than the black version. And I think like between the black and version and the red version, I think they have comparable game against Jeskai. I guess Pyroblast is a big game changer if you're trying to beat up on Teferis, Narsets, Hull Breachers. So this deck is probably better in the web of matchups against the Jeskai Breacher decks than the black version is. But I think the black version is better in fair matchups than this one is. Like, this one just has some awkward spells in it. Like, there's a lot of Force Negations, and Expressive Iteration and Sylvan Library are all cards that I don't really love when my life total is dwindling. Boseiju was great though. The Jeskai decks don't get Boseiju. Both of the various flavors of 4-color do get Boseiju, and that will help in those Blood Moon situations. And then Pyroblast helps in the not Blood Moon situations against Jeskai. There's just pros and cons. I will not say that one is better than the other, because I don't believe that to be true. I have no problem killing my baby if I actually thought that this was better than 4-color, and I would have no problem saying so if I thought, or better than the Black Splash. And if the Black Splash was markedly better than this, I would say that too. But I think they just do different things. If you like the 4-color Bant shell and your metagame is full of Jeskai, you probably do want to be playing this version just for the Pyroblast to fight over their Planeswalkers with. That can be game breaking. It's really easy to set up a game with the Black Splash version that you're not going to lose to Blood Moon, but then you lose to Teferi and Narset instead, and you don't have Pyroblast to help clean it up. That is a huge difference. Though the Sylvan Libraries are pretty bad in that matchup, where they have 6 Hull Breacher effects plus their prismatic endings, plus their counter spells. Like, Sylvan Library is never going to do anything in those matchups. So give and take. But I do see why this deck is enjoyed. I might mess with the number of Sylvan Libraries. I might go down to 2 Endurance for another layer of power somewhere for the next iteration of this league. Definitely the Force of Vigor is going to be better than Containment Priest. That gives you game against Blood Moon back to basics. And sometimes you get paired against Enchantress. Good luck. These things happen, apparently. I'm going to wrap this up. This was Chapter 1 of the Spunky 4-color $500 challenge, which was a failure. And it was Chapter 1 of Brendan's exploration of Control in Legacy, which was a success. We do have a lot of information to think about moving forward into that series. I hope you all enjoyed this slightly more serious try-hard mode. There's a lot of money on the line, and Brendan specifically asked for a real hard look, like try hard, try to win, do your best. Let's get a good picture of Control in this format. And Spunky swept in out of nowhere to really put stakes on it. All of these, at least 5 more videos across the various storylines here. You're going to see some more Control, and I'm going to be trying hard. Hope you like that sort of stuff. It's going to be peppered in over the next 2 weeks. And I'll see you for the next videos.